latest Pixar film Elemental hits theaters this weekend, so let's talk about it. Hi, my name is Sean, and I love to talk about movies and TV way too much. With that in mind, go ahead and join me down below in the comment section. Let me know, what did you think about the movie Elemental? With that said, let's go ahead and get started talking about the movie. And this is one that I felt like Disney Pixar really dropped the ball on properly building excitement for this film. I didn't feel like there was as much marketing or as many trailers, and the trailers they did put out didn't seem to like capture what made the movie distinct and stand out, or how it would kind of have that Pixar magic. And then the movie premiered a few weeks back at Cannes Film Festival, and it didn't get very good reviews. So there was this movie that didn't have great buzz already from the marketing department, and then the first reviews for it weren't very good. And then over the last couple weeks, as more people have watched it, the reviews have gotten significantly more positive, and its Rotten Tomato score has jumped up dramatically. So I didn't really know what to expect going into the movie last night, since they didn't really sell me on it with the trailers and the buzz was so confusing. Went to see it last night and took my two daughters and my wife, and it was a fun time at the movies for the family, and the ladies of my family, they loved this movie. I thought it was a solid mid-tier Pixar film. Now keep in mind, when you're talking about Pixar, when your top 15 movies are all fantastic, being mid-tier Pixar is actually a pretty good animated film, but it's so competitive with Pixar that, to crack that top 10, you have to be something really special. And I thought this was a good, solid film that the marketing really let this movie down. Because watching the trailers, I felt like maybe it was just kind of a bit of a rehash of some stuff they've kind of done with Inside Out or Soul, with kind of visualizing things a specific way, this time with elements, and they're not supposed to mix. And I was like, okay. And then when you watch the movie, it's Pixar's rom-com. That's what this is. It's a tried and true classic rom-com with a Pixar spin on it that kind of takes this idea about elements, uses that as kind of this metaphor for sort of an immigrant's tale, as well as the tried and true rom-com formula of two people from different sides of the track, one from the good side of town, one from the less well-off side of town, trying to make things work while they have two very different worldviews. Tried and true stuff, once again, with that Pixar spin that makes it pop and interesting in new, different ways. We've seen this story before, this rom-com tale, but we've never seen it, quite literally, we've never seen it like this before. So I thought it was as much better than the trailers let on, had much more to offer than what I saw in the trailers, and more charm to it as well. And a big part of that is that they kind of came up with these fun characters that you can get invested in the different worldviews of these different elements and what their life looks like, and see why they'd kind of be drawn to each other and have fun as they slowly start to fall in love. And when you have these different elements, it sets up all of these puns, all of these funny comedic situations that you can kind of play out, where one person is water, one person's fire, others are earth, and there's just all kinds of just like real clever, funny bits, some of them obvious bits, all of it kind of taking place. And it's enjoyable. Pixar knows how to make movies that have that human touch. And in the case of this one, it is kind of this classic romance that you've seen in movies before, but also with all the humor on it. So even my 4-year-old, who doesn't understand all the metaphors, doesn't understand the rom-com aspects of it, but she's just having a blast with all the wacky shenanigans with these different elements trying to interact with one another. Other thing you have to talk about as an animated film is that there's a bunch of really interesting stuff they do with the animation. over the last few weeks, there's been a lot of discussion on Twitter over the fact that this movie cost $200 million and Across the Spider-Verse only cost $100 million. And I've had all kinds of tweets about it, like, it's weird how much Across the Spider-Verse was able to do with animation, of just groundbreaking, every shot looks like art. And then you look at Elemental and it looks like another gorgeous, but just another Pixar film that is very well done, but it doesn't seem groundbreaking the way Across the Spider-Verse is. And having seen the movie, there's all kinds of little details in just the depth of the animation here. Whereas with Across the Spider-Verse, they're bringing all these animation styles, being very creative in the use of animation to tell a story. What you're seeing in Elemental that's so expensive is all of these like effects and the way that you have a character that's made of water, and so everything behind them bends because of that. And there's all these ways in which they have layered graphics of a fire person that if you have water touch them, their head starts to disappear, and have depth to that takes a lot of rendering power. There's all these things in it that are just so highly advanced animation that are gorgeous to look at, but not as immediately like wow-inducing as, say, something like Across the Spider-Verse. But there is very cool animation in this film with the use of even the way they visualize these different elements, where their faces have a 2D aspect to them of the way that they visualize the features, but then just the way they're rendering of fire and water and how it looks. We've never really seen that particular texture for fire before, and the way that it moves and adjusts everything. So there's a lot going on here that isn't as flashy as Across the Spider-Verse, but it is very technologically advanced animation in its own right. Everything here didn't work for me. There's some stuff that was kind of clunky. The story tries to put in some plot stuff about the business that the Fire's family runs, and then it kind of incorporates into the job of the Water family guy, and how there's infrastructure failures and implications of how this ties into socio and economic status, and it leads to kind of some big finale stuff. There's just way too much stuff about the pipes in this movie. Like, why are we spending so much time on this plot line about leaky pipes and broken infrastructure? I don't think we needed all of that. I don't think it served the story. It was like something that should have been like a minor plot point to kick things in motion, and it turns into a plot that runs throughout the entire film that I just, like, we're literally talking about permits and paying tickets, and like I'm overthinking, like, why is the lady that's the daughter of a guy that runs a food shop responsible for fixing a broken dam over here? Like, what's going on here? Like, this doesn't make any sense to me. I shouldn't be thinking about that while watching a movie that's a rom-com. There's some odd things like that. Likewise, they do some stuff where early on, it's a big deal that Fire Girl has a big temper, but she's not actually like an angry person. That's not like her arc, learning to control her temper. And then likewise with Water Guy, it's a running gag that because they're water, they cry, and whenever they cry, it like shoots like a water fountain. And so he's introduced as just like this guy that keeps crying. And like they're trying to fire, angry, water, cry, tears. Like you can see the metaphors, you can see what they're doing, but it doesn't actually tie into that much into their characters. And seeing a man crying over everything is weird. And like it was funny, like one time when it happens, there's a couple times where it's like, okay, that ties in, and then it just keeps happening that him and his whole family just cry all the time. It's just too much. And like I said, it's not like a defining character trait, it's just like a gag. And I think the way to think about it, it's a movie that simpler would have been better. The basic metaphor of these different elements don't go together, fire and water don't mix, as an immigrant metaphor, socioeconomic difference metaphor, gotcha, that works. And do it as a rom-com. Tried and true formula, the elements is the Pixar touch to it, boom, it works. We don't need every idea that you had about them crying and she has temper issues and therefore she can't run this thing and therefore this, and the pipe broke because... too many layers. Too much stuff is going on here, and we're losing focus of the thing that works, which is the romance. The characters that you enjoy spending time with. That's where this movie shines. That's where it works really well. There's a little bit too much kind of going on here that kind of distracts from some of that. So I thought it was solid. I thought it was good. I didn't think it was like top tier amazing, but I do think it's been better than quite a few of the Pixar films that we've gotten over the last couple of years. And I think it's a kind of movie that'll stand out maybe a little bit more because it is that Pixar rom-com. It has that distinct thing amongst all of their 20 plus films. Like I said, I watched it with my whole family. I was the one that was least enthusiastic about it, and I still thought it was good. They were kind of going pretty bananas for it. Hey, Karis, what'd you think about the movie?
It was awesome. I really liked Elemental. I liked the fire girl and the water guy. There's a lot of moments that are really funny.
Do you want to see it again?
Oh yeah, but we don't have it at our house yet. I'm so excited because it's gonna come to our house.
Chloe, what's your favorite scene in the movie?
My favorite scene in the movie is where Ember, she was wanting to go see this tree, and it's really cool.
Because it's romantic?
It's not romantic.
I think you missed the point of the movie. Chloe, it's a rom-com. So my wife doesn't like to be on camera, but this is what she put on her comment card. Heartwarming, endearing, visually stunning. This is the Pixar that I love. Overall, it's another solid Pixar film where we get to see their spin on a rom-com. It's not a top tier Pixar film, but hey, not every movie can be top tier, and that's okay. This is a solid entry that the ladies in my household, they loved this movie. Like quite literally, the whole car ride home, my 4-year-old was talking about how she wants a fire costume so she could dress up like the girl in this. She wants a water costume. She was all into it. And then my 9-year-old daughter was talking about how this might be her favorite Pixar film. She's 9. Very frequently, the last movie that she saw is her favorite movie, but they seem to be really into this movie. And in particular, my wife saying that this is the Pixar that I love. That's a really good sign. I think this movie's gonna play better with people that go see it. And I don't know what they were thinking with the marketing and opening it at Cannes Film Festival, but it's a solid Pixar film. Overall, I'll give this one a B on the entertainment scale, 7.5 out of 10. And it's a good time to take the family to it. Go see this one. Hey, thank you guys so much for watching. You can check out some of my other videos right over here where I've talked about animated franchises, and keep talking movies and TV too much. Bye-bye.